Great, thanks. For opening remarks, I will hand it over to Deputy Commissioner Warfa.
Thank you, Jen. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Excited to be part of this wonderful event. As most of you know, this is Tech Month, and Governor Tim Walz proclaimed this month as Technology Workforce Month. This is an opportunity to draw attention to the critical importance of the state's technology workforce and its importance in our economy. We know that states that are prioritizing the innovation economy is really ahead of other states, and so grateful that all of you are joining us today and are part of the ecosystem to advance technology workforce in our state. My name is Hamza Warfa. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Workforce Development at the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. We mostly will, be listening and hearing and learning from our wonderful panelists today. Discussion moderated by my colleague, Mark Majors, who is head of our employment and training programs. Before I turn over to him, I just would like to share a little bit of both personal interest of why technology matters from a personal experience, but also in my professional role as the head of workforce development, Deputy Commissioner for DEED. My first interaction with technology, not just as an operational tool, but as a strategic enabler, was really when I started college, and I got my undergraduate computer information systems associate degree. And at the time, my interest was to become a network administrator. And that really led me to understand that, the skills that you gain from technology can be applied to so many different sectors, whether you want to apply to in the nonprofit sector, in healthcare setting. Technology is needed everywhere. Technology is needed both as an operational tool, but also, as I mentioned, a strategic enabler. And then later, after I finished college, I moved over to doing non-technology work, only to realize that, technology was going to be a big part of my professional career. And in 2015, co-founded a technology company, blockchain technology company that's now working in 42 countries. And that technology, blockchain technology, is allowing millions of people to have access to the global economy. That's just one example of many stories, including those who are graduating from our participants of our programs, at DEED and others. And so that's really one reason. At my professional hat, technology, we see the significant need for talent in the technology space. We also recognize that, technology workforce is an opportunity to build family-sustaining income, and more so for young people who are, coming to, the beginning of their career, but also, young people much younger who are in school and can develop the skill sets that are going to transfer into opportunities for their long-term career. And so it's a needed, space in our state. It's going to advance our economy. It's going to provide opportunities for young people, which is why I'm really super excited about our conversation today on technology and young people. And with that, no one to turn over than my colleague who oversees our employment and training programs, Mark Majors, who will introduce our panelists today. Mark?
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Warfa. And I've never heard that story, so thanks for sharing that personal part of your experience with tech. Just before we get started, I just want to say, here at DEED, we invest almost about $6.5 million into 29 organizations throughout the state that touch tech, some form of tech for youth. And so we are following the strong direction of Deputy Commissioner Warfa, Commissioner Grove, the governor, and Lieutenant Governor. as well in advancing youth and employment services tied to tech. So I want to say thank you to our leadership for that commitment in advancing our young people. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see or kind of see you virtually. My name is Mark Majors. I'm the Director for Employment and Training Programs here at DEED. We have a wonderful panel group folks here, and I know we don't have that. We have about a half hour to move forward through with a lot of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. But before we get started, I want to do a couple housekeeping pieces. If you would so be kind and put your name in the chat and the organization that you're connected to, that'd be greatly appreciated. As well as if you have questions throughout the course of the panel, to go ahead and put them in the chat. It's being monitored by my colleague, Anna Peterson. And if that doesn't work, then we can, you just raise your hand and she'll let me know that folks have questions. So to kind of get us started, what I'll do is I'll ask the panelists just to kind of introduce themselves and just tell us who they are, what organization they're affiliated with, and then we'll dive into some questions. But so we'll get started with our youth participants first. We'll start with Faduma, who's from, I believe, Right Track. Faduma, are you on the line? And can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone. So my name is Faduma, and I'm with the, I'm doing a UX Prime program sponsored by Right Track, I believe. It's a 10-week program, and I believe I'm week 4 right now, 4 or 5.
All right, thank you. Welcome. And then I'd like to introduce Mako Hizahak. I may have said that wrong. Mako, are you online with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, welcome.
Hi. I'm Mako Ishaq. I'm a lead computer tech here at Vivacity Tech.
All right, welcome. Nice to see you. Then we have Mike Jackson. Mike, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Can you see me?
I can hear you.
There we go. I think hopefully it's loading. Well, I'm Mike Jackson. I'm the CEO and founder of Black Tech Talent. We aim to increase the representation of Black technologists in both corporate careers and entrepreneurship. And our goal is to curate a pipeline that starts with the youth and ends with the seniors. So I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. We're glad to have you. Angie?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Angie Wong. I am a senior director of UX instruction and strategy at Prime Digital Academy. So I worked with Right Track and work with Faduma in the UX Academy program.
Welcome. Jeff.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Tollefson, and I have the pleasure of serving as the president of the Minnesota Technology Association. And something near and dear to our mission is making sure that our employers have, the talent they need for future business success. So we have a lot of initiatives underway on how to better inspire, hire, develop, and retain the tech talent that our state needs to continue to drive this innovation economy forward.
Thanks, Jeff, and welcome. And Paul.
Yeah, my name is Paul Samft, and I am the coordinator for a Tech for Teens program at Pacers Center in our Simon Technology Center. So we focus on providing workshops and STEM experiences for people with disabilities, and that's all disabilities that we work with. But I focus on our STEM areas. I help out with our Tech for Girls programs too. So it's a lot of fun. We're just trying to get technology out to people and get experience to everybody who wants it.
Well, thank you, and welcome, Paul. So we're going to go ahead and just get started because I know there's going to be a lot of questions and we want to make sure we have enough time to get around. So I'm going to start, if you don't mind, with Mako. Mako, could you tell us why you were interested in the tech field, and also if you can share a little bit about what you learned while you were in your training program?
Yes. One of the main reasons I'm interested in the tech field is what we do, especially what we do here at Vivacity Tech. We help students we provide students with Chromebooks, and one of my main roles is in the repair department where we repair Chromebooks so students can learn and do their online schooling. One of the main skills I learned here was like to troubleshoot, diagnose, and like the problem solving solutions that you come across when you're repairing stuff, when you're repairing devices.
Great, thank you. And then I'm going to ask kind of a similar question to Faduma. Why are you interested in tech, and what are you learning so far?
Yeah, so my interest in tech grew over the past couple of years. I actually was a therapist for almost like a year before I decided that wasn't for me, and I switched over to tech. I did originally start like doing data analysis and kind of going like the technical way before switching over to UX UI. And right now we're learning how to design and learning a lot about accessibility and learning about how websites come to be as an idea, and we're learning about interactability and how to make prototypes, which is super cool and a lot of fun to do.
Oh, wow! I need to come learn from you. Thanks. That's awesome. Okay, Angie. Sorry, Angie.
Either one.
All right, I'll go with Angie. Prime Digital Academy works with a few local workforce agencies. How can tech training institutions leverage the bootcamp model and work with workforce agencies to help prepare young adults for tech jobs while simultaneously meeting the needs of employers?
Oh my goodness. So I said, are there any questions I should be prepared for? That's okay. Can you repeat it one more time? I know I can speak to it, but it was double question.
Sure. Sorry, I know we got to give you a compound question there. How can tech training institutions leverage the bootcamp model and work with workforce agencies to help prepare young folks for tech jobs while simultaneously work with employers or meeting employer needs, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that last part, so meeting employer needs, I mean, I think, again, coming from a user experience discipline, you need to speak with those employers and understand what they really need, right? And I think and you heard it with, was it Mako? Speak to it about the problem solving skills, right? A lot of the skills that these that boot camps work on is higher than the technical, right? It's how to move through problems, how to approach problems, how to be unstuck, how to be resourceful. And those are things that every employer needs, right? And those, when you meet with employers and speak with employers and do your research about what people really need or what they're afraid they won't get from boot camps or those types of training programs, is that higher level thinking, right? And so I think the way that they work together and leverage each other is by listening to each other's needs and listening to each other's concerns about, that sort of, what do you think you won't be getting, or what really concerns you if it's not present in an applicant or a new hire. And then you realize like those are the things that are guaranteed to be taught or guaranteed to be learned when engaging in some of these programs.
Right,
does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I appreciate you handled that compound question very well. Thanks.
I took notes on what you were asking, so you can it.
Right on. Thanks. The next question is to Jeff. Minnesota Tech works closely with many employers. How can workforce agencies work with employers to create opportunities for young adults to obtain family sustainable wage jobs in the tech field?
Great question, and we have to be doing a lot more. And what I think needs to happen is employers need to step up and own their role in this important initiative in a much bigger way. And I'm actually pleased to say that I had a meeting earlier this morning that is a group that has just started called the Twin Cities Tech Inclusion Alliance. And it's not for public announcement yet, but I'm going to do it anyways. But this is led by Mike McNamara, the CIO at Target Corporation. and involves the CIOs of all the Fortune 500 companies in the Twin Cities. And it's really thinking about what can companies be doing to really make sure that we have, the more diverse and more inclusive workforce that we really all aspire to see in our communities. So this is an initiative that kicked off just a few weeks ago. There's a lot of energy around it. We're meeting every 2 weeks with all of these CIOs. And it's starting with mapping out the talent ecosystem today as it exists. Who are the great training providers like Prime Digital Academy and Right Track and Genesis Works and Cristo Rey that companies increasingly need to be engaging with, both at the early talent stage before high school in terms of how do we inspire interest, but then during high school, how do we create experiential learning opportunities to move learning beyond the classroom into the workplace? How do we support teachers differently and more impactfully so they feel confident teaching computer science curriculum? And then as we move on to post-secondary, how do we get companies to not have a bachelor's degree as something that is a limiting factor to access to talent pools? How do we leverage boot camps and non-traditional pathways into the world of technology? So I am encouraged, Mark, that we are seeing technology leaders beginning to think differently about what is their role and what are they going to do to really make lasting change in this really important issue.
Well, thanks for that response. I think you gave us an exclusive too, but appreciate that. But
I hope Mike McNamara doesn't.
No, I think that's excellent, and I think you raise a really good point. It's great to hear how our employer partners are starting to take that information and start mapping, and I'm looking forward to working with you all around that. So thank you for that. I'll ask my next question to Paul. As you've already described, the Pacer Center is working to raise interest in tech jobs among young youth with disabilities. How can workforce agencies and employers work to include more young adults with disabilities in tech jobs?
There are a lot of ways to do that, but I think the area that is my focus is with accessibility and specifically assistive technology and ways technology can be used to give more individuals access to a workplace. And I mean, we all know employers have to provide reasonable accommodations, but reasonable accommodations are becoming more and more. There's more of them. There's so many different simple ways to make an environment easier. And there's a really, really good chance that a significant portion of an employer's workforce have disabilities. They just haven't disclosed them. And so just making technology available to your current workforce is going to open up just opportunity for everybody. And it can be simple things like different types of mice. A mouse can make a difference, different types of seating, different keyboards. I mean, really cheap and effective, or really cheap and affordable things that make a huge difference. But then also taking it to the next level and looking at more advanced things or more complicated things like making screen readers more available, different types of eye gaze technology, things like that. So, but to start, you can do simple things, just opening up opportunities to say, hey, how can your work environment be better? Let's look at the different technology that can make that happen. And that's an easy way to start.
Yeah, thanks. That's yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely right. And and the more we can educate our employer partners into the value of folks with disabilities and that they add is always important, and how they can accommodate them is a great first step. So thanks for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mike, thanks for joining us. Question for you. In
Yes.
order to address racial disparities in the tech industry, how is your organization working to increase diversity and bring more BIPOC youth into the tech field?
Yeah, so we're doing a few different things. Similar to what Jeff said a little bit earlier, we've been speaking with our corporate partners about um, creating internship programs, paid internships for people who came through boot camps or summer internships. We've been in talks with, doing some stuff with Prime, doing some stuff with Genesis Works as well, so we can tap into the youth for these opportunities. But we've been really focused on getting those internships set up with companies that traditionally would require a college degree or only allow internships with college students. And so some of them have been open to this conversation. It's something we've been developing over the last couple months to make sure we can get that done. On the flip side, for us, Black culture is something that is very important in a lot of the things that we do, including work and what we deem as not only accessible but cool. And so we focused on making sure that everybody understands that tech is cool. It's a well-paying field, and that there are so many different great options to get into it. So this summer in June, we have our first tech summit, which will be more recruiter focused. But then in the fall, we are doing a community tech fest, and that'll be all ages. And we want to have cool activations and robotics and drones and all sorts of things to get the kids engaged and interested and to getting into these different programs and coming on this journey with us. Our goal is for the people we highlight today, whether it be the youth or young adults or college students, to be highlighted on our platform and in our community, and then get to a place where our corporate clients are starting to scout these students for their genius. And they built a robot. At 15, they created a new website or a new service that changes the game, or they win some type of competition, so that by the time they're 18, Google or Microsoft already knows they want them. And so that's something we're working towards, is making sure the cultural piece is a part of it and making sure these our clients understand how important that is.
Thanks for that. And I can't wait to hear more information about the summit you're going to have this summer and in the fall. Sounds cool. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you.
So thanks. Anna, I wasn't sure if we had any questions in the chat box. Do we?
Yeah, one of the questions that came in, you just asked to Mike, so that's great. And then another question that came in, I think, is relevant to the question that you have next for everybody.
Okay. All right. I got to get to my everyone question now. Okay. All right. So I'll put this out to everyone and you can chime in. Thanks. What skills or credentials should youth be working on to be prepared for a career in tech? And are there certain tech training or certificates that employers are that they prefer? So I'll let anyone can answer that question.
Well, I'll chime in right away and say coding. Coding is a fantastic place to start with. You can, no matter what level that you're at, you can learn from the very basics all the way to really advanced stuff, all free. I mean, there's all sorts of courses online, lots of different places that you can learn coding. And no matter, even if you're not getting into technology, coding is going to help you in anything that you do. It can make your job easier. You can streamline things that you're doing through different types of coding. So I would just say start there. There's so many other places you can go, but that's kind of like the foundation. I'm a computer science background, so I'm a little biased, but I still do think that it is kind of the foundation of technology.
I'll follow up with Paul on that. We have a huge need for software engineers and software developers in our community today. These are not only in-demand careers, but very highly paying as well. I think the average annual salary is $105,000 in Minnesota today for those involved in the software engineering field. And there's a lot of ways to enter that field without having to go and get a bachelor's degree. We also have a large need in cybersecurity. So that is an in-demand field today. Data analytics, business intelligence, a lot of fields. But if I were thinking for youth, what because what's in demand today is not going to be what's necessarily in demand 5, 10, 15 years from now. It's just important to learn basic digital skills, become digitally fluent, become a lifelong learner, because you're going to have to do that in the technology field. So I guess my advice to youth is don't get caught up on, am I going to be a programmer or a network technician today? Just start learning some of the fundamental digital skills, and you'll be well on your way.
Thanks. You actually answered a question I was about to ask, but I'll come back around and ask the group later. Others?
Can I add? Can I complement that?
Absolutely.
And so, I think absolutely those technical skills, and just piggybacking off of what Jeff said, like the needs are gonna change, right? And I think the really cool thing about youth, quote unquote, is that if we harness the things that they're naturally good at before they stop being good at them, so collaboration, working together, being curious, trying to figure out how the world works, having a growth mindset, trying to learn rather than be perfect. I think those are skills that are scalable and endlessly applicable, right? And I think when we have this sort of like scarcity model, or youth are trying to get us, or anybody really, forget youth or age, right? Trying to acquire a certain set of skills. By the time you acquire them, they've moved, those skills have changed or the needs have changed. But thinking about like the things that youth are already really good at, and before we unteach those things, like we have an opportunity, at really very early on, but certainly, in young adulthood, to say like, no, that growth mindset, that curiosity, that interest in how things work, how people work, why things are questioning, right? Like youth question why things are the way they are. That helps them figure out how technology works. That helps them figure out how humans work. That helps them figure out how to make those things work better together. And I think, complementing the technical skills with that growth mindset, that curiosity and collaboration is magic. That's where those skills become endlessly applicable, industry agnostic, medium agnostic, right? And are useful forever.
Great, thank you. I think what you mentioned there, Angie, is absolutely right, because you have to have the balance between the two. So I think appreciate that sentiment. I want to throw a question out to Mako. I mean, you've been out of the program for a short period of time, I think, and you've heard some of the panelists talk about coding, software engineering, cybersecurity, business intelligence. Is that what you were thinking when you started, or what were you thinking as you started your journey into tech industry?
I wasn't even thinking about tech. I came to Vivacity Tech as a intern for the summer, and working in, production, warehouse, not even in the tech department. As the summer ended, I joined the tech team and didn't know nothing about tech, nothing, not even how to pop open a keyboard off of the Chromebook. So just my knowledge of not knowing nothing, but also wanting to learn, just in that curiosity of trying to like make sure the Chromebook fully works before we send it back. That's why I became more curious in tech. And
Go ahead.
so as I continued and getting my certs to be certified to work on devices, yeah, that's what led to me staying in the tech field.
Okay. I think you knew that what you needed to know. I think you knew a lot. Tell me about those certs real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So right now I have my HP certs and my Lenovo certs. So I'm certified to work on those. I also have my Student Repair Academy, which is issued through Vivacity, and that helps students it gives them basic knowledge of working on Chromebooks. And yeah.
I may have to see. I may have to see you after this panel. Just then you know, you're very well skilled, and congratulations on your cert. Question for Faduma. I mean, now that you've heard some of our great panelists say that these are some potential areas of interest and great paying jobs, do any of those sound of interest to you, or what do you think about what they're saying in these high growth industries?
I mean, we all love money, that's for sure. But for me, it was like when I originally I went to school. I got my bachelor's in psychology, and that was like always my passion. And when I started working as it, like it didn't like hit me until I was in that field and doing that full time that I didn't want to do this full time. And when I started looking at other career paths, technology is one of them. My older brother is actually a software engineer, and I see what he does. Like he works from home most of the time, and that didn't really interest me just because he's a programmer and like he loves that stuff like all day every day. But that wasn't for me. It was extremely like no creativity behind it, to be honest. Like not as much as you would need for like UX UI, for example. I'm very good at math, so I kind of went down the path of data analysis, data visualization, and I did like it for the most part, but it was still very dull, and you get like set into a routine, and that just wasn't for me. Like I need to use my brain in order to enjoy what I'm doing. So then like my older brother sent me this UX program, and I was like, oh, this is super cool. And once I started doing it, I saw that there's a lot more creativity behind it, which I love. Um, and there's a lot more like problem solving, and it still has that research aspect that I loved when I was doing research. So for me right now, this is the path I'm definitely going down. It was a lot of exploring.
Great, thank you. That's quite a move from careers switching. Congratulations on your decision. That's awesome. I was going to say, Anna, or do we have other questions in the chat?
We don't right now. We are getting together a contact list of our presenters. That was a question. And if you do have a question, and you can put it in the chat, I do want to mention that last time at our roundtable, we realized that there's a Microsoft glitch, and there's a certain number of people who have access to the chat, and then others don't. So if you don't have access to the chat, you can just use the raise your hand feature, and we can unmute you to have you ask your question. And if you do have questions, put them in the chat if you have access to the chat.
Okay, thanks, Anna. All right, well, I'm gonna throw this out to the panelists too, because I mean, now that we're in this, and I think Mike started talking about this a little bit, and some of you have spoken about it, but how do we get our young folks excited and interested in tech? I mean, I've heard a lot that tech is broad, right? It could be healthcare, it could be manufacturing, it could be. So how do we get our young folks? I like the summit that Mike was talking about, but how do we get them interested into like come into the door of our various providers and say, I want to do that?
Well, I'll jump in. Yeah, I love how Mike is trying to make tech cool for kids, because that is going to be really important. And and I think just Faduma was talking about watching her brother as a software engineer doing programming and not liking that, not wanting to be at home behind a keyboard. I think sometimes we inadvertently tell our youth that an IT job is more about programming, but so there's jobs that are behind the keyboard, and there's some that are in the front of the keyboard where you can be creative in web development, in user experience and design, the application of technology as opposed to actually having to program and write the code. So the technology world is really broad, and I think we've done ourselves a disservice in how we sometimes present it to youth, where they think I have to be a computer programmer or something like that. The app development area for mobile applications is really cool, and we've got some great companies doing things here. And that's, I think, what we need to get in front of our youth more and more, so we don't turn them off too early around a job in technology and information technology.
Yeah, and I'd like to throw in too, showing where technology fits into the things that you already like, the different activities that you enjoy doing. Maybe you like photography. How does learning to code help you with that? How does learning different database systems help you with that? Basically, anything that you do, you can find a way that technology can help you with that. And so I think a lot of our workshops that we try to do at Pacer are not necessarily technology focused. It's what's something that kids want to do for fun, and then let's sprinkle in the technology piece to it too, so they can get a taste of that and see how that can make this activity even more fun.
Mark, I've got a question for employers. What are job opportunities for people who have trained and earned their certifications but do not have any experience? Do you have mentorship programs?
Good question. I'll throw that to Mike or Jeff or Angie or Paul.
Well, I know over at UX Academy, so at Prime, we have an 18-week program for adults who are career switching into tech. So people who have a previous career and then they're moving into tech, either software engineering or user experience design. UX Academy is our partnership with Right Track, and that's our first program geared towards career launchers. So folks who have it's no expectation that they have a previous career behind them, so 18 to 24 years old. And we are pounding the pavement to get, much like Mike, to get internships lined up for these folks. We've got some at Thomson Reuters, at Horizontal, at Software for Good. If anyone from Target's on the line, we're looking at you. Best Buy. The thing is, the money's there, the work opportunities there, and these folks have energy and training to hit the ground running. And so, I see that as sort of the training program's responsibility to connect those pieces, right? If we meet with employers and we know what they need and they know what we provide, then we just simply need to fit these puzzle pieces together for the youth so that they can get a meaningful, actual internship post training, right? To take all that energy and all that understanding and continue to apply it. And I am just adamant that there should be nothing in the way of that happening. In the Twin Cities and with the employers that we have and the younger talent that we already have in roles who are wanting to help mentor folks and to share their experience. It's just, to me, inexcusable. So I know those opportunities are out there, and I think that's where those of us with influence and connections can help create those opportunities so that the people, the young folks who are getting training can go to the next phase and can get into that internship, kind of take a little bit of the guardrails off, and we can partner and define those roles. We can work together to coach them, like Right Track provides coaching along the way, even in those internships. So it's not sort of, it's not a total free for all or what have you, right? Again, those fears of employers, like really understand their fears, but then also say, here's the opportunity for you to give back, for you to, diversify the industry. Like, this is it, it's well defined, and, let's make it happen. So I think that kind of the training programs partnering with those employers, to me, from where I sit, that's what we're working to do.
Yeah, I think the partnerships that are developing between our public education system and employers is it's getting stronger as we're beginning to see the value of moving learning beyond the classroom and into relevant real-world experiences. It's something I saw firsthand when I launched the Genesis Works program in 2008, and watching how employers really invested in youth and their career success through a sustainable internship. And we've got great youth internship programs here. Step Up, Right Track, Cristo Rey, Rev Academy, New Visions Foundation, Create MPLS, Genesis Works, a lot of these. And we just need more employers to take advantage of this, because this is their future talent pipeline. And they increasingly have to invest earlier and more impactfully to ensure that they have the talent that they need further down the pike. And then even in college, we're fortunate to partner with DEED through MinTech with our SciTech internship program. Last year, we placed 296 college students into internships where they can get additional experience. And we're finding many of those individuals are ultimately getting hired by the companies where they did the internship. So internships work, apprenticeships work. We just need more employers to provide those opportunities.
Well said. You got me pumped up about this. Mike, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I agree with everything that was said, and I found that some corporations, when you talk, really try to network through the different departments. Some do have a number of entry level positions, and I think part of that is the job of us, the people who are connecting the talent with the jobs, is to um, explain kind of the roadmap to certain roles and careers and things like that as well. Because if you're just getting out of school and your concern is making sure you're good financially, but you also want to be in a tech role or a role that's going to lead to the role you want, sometimes it's about letting them know that, hey, this place over here, they'll hire you fresh out of school or fresh out of a boot camp. You'll start in this position, but they have a roadmap to get to exactly where you want, and teaching them how to shine in those roles and how to show their value and how to climb to those other positions. So there are some companies currently that they do hire a lot of entry level candidates. So.
Yeah, and that partnership is extremely important. I think we need to kind of still build on it and create more strategies on how to create that engagement. Because I'll say this, and I know we're closing out, but we have two wonderful past and current participants in our programs, and I don't want to state the obvious, extremely smart women who are entering the tech. That employers, if you're listening. You need to hire them. So I won't be bashful in saying that. But we do need to be, I mean, because they're obviously smart and very capable, and they're our future, in our future pipeline that we're going to need throughout the state. So I want to say thank you so much to the panelists for your time, your words of wisdom. I want to say particularly to our participants, I want to thank you for your willingness to come forward and share your stories. And we was greatly appreciated. I want to pass it back over to Deputy Commissioner Warfa for some closing words, if he's still available or with us. Deputy Commissioner? He may have had to go on to another meeting. But I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Anna Peterson for helping me and being a great colleague, Jen Gates as well, Adeshewa, Corey Schmidt, and the entire Youth Services Employment Training team at DEED, a great group of people I get to work with every day. Folks, thank you for your time. This is great discussion. I think we're going to get the list out to folks, and I think we'll be getting ready for our next panel somewhere in mid-May. So have a wonderful day, and thank you. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.